Hello, my name is Thomas Clara, and this is A Week in Watches episode 33. A Week in Watches is a weekly look back at watches, news, and stories from the industry. This week's episode is brought to you by the Windup Shop, the retail arm of Worn & Wound. The Windup Watch Shop is the authorized dealer of over 25 watch brands and so much more. Stay tuned to later in the show as we'll talk a little more about the Windup Watch Shop. It was a jam-packed week in watch news filled with a couple of interesting collaborations and a slew of divers, one of which that made its way to the White House. Let's get to it. Leading off, we have a new collaboration from Rowing Blazers and Zodiac. What do Rowing Blazers, Zodiac watches, Ernest Hemingway, and the invention of the Bloody Mary have in common? Well, that's the Harry's New York bar. And although it has the Big Apple in its namesake, the iconic bar is actually located in Paris, France, and has been an institution within the City of Love since the early 1900s. You might be familiar with Rowing Blazers as they've done a couple of successful releases with Seiko, and now they're looking to continue their success by doing what they do best, and that's using bold colors, witty patterns, and who better to do that with than Zodiac watches, who is no stranger to doing the same on their own. I mean, just take a look at our LE that we did with them. The Rowing Blazers Zodiac Harry's Bar Super Seawolf has a vibrant color dial that Rowing Blazers is calling bottle green that just pops right off the watch. The dial plays host to several logos and word marks that use their own splash of color. We get the contributing brands written in their signature typeface, a pair of brightly colored buttoned-up flies, that is the Harry's Bar logo, all sandwiched between a yellow Zodiac logo and Harry's Bar wordmark. They use a Super Seawolf case here as the canvas, but instead of a dive bezel, we get a travel-friendly 12-hour bezel. The Rowing Blazers Zodiac Harry's Bar Super Seawolf is limited to just 282 pieces, and the collaborative piece will be released at a special event at the Paris Bar during Men's Paris Fashion Week. More news from across the pond as the Alliance of British Watch and Clock Makers have announced their first ever release. This is a collaborative project between Fears Watches and Christopher Ward. And the result is the Alliance 1. So the inaugural piece has a bespoke stainless steel case that might remind you of a cushion case from the Fears Brunswick line. The 40.5mm case is matched to a burgundy dial with concentric circles highlighting the intersection in a sunray finish on the outside of the dial. A large aperture at 12 displays the current hour, while the minutes are read by an interior dial and a diamond polished hand. At the heart of the Alliance 1 is the SW200 with Christopher Ward's JJ01 jump module layered over it. This movement is something of a classic, as it's debuted in 2011 with the C9 Harrison Jump Hour. This movement is finally getting the attention it deserves, as it serves as a basis for a recent watch that caught the community by storm within the Bel Canto. The Alliance 1 is limited to just 50 pieces and will only be available to Alliance members. This watch will retail at 3,950 British pounds and will be available on January 27th. Before we move ahead, let's spend a little time chatting about our sponsor, WindupWatchShop.com. At WindupWatchShop.com, you'll find a broad selection of watches and watch accessories, all focused on great design and great value. From young hands and the elegant Max Bill line, to hardcore G-Shocks, to all the new stuff from Oris. If you're not looking for a watch though, we still got you covered. We have straps of all kinds, including Italian American-made leather straps and Adapt American-made nylon mill straps and much more. We've also got travel pouches and storage solutions such as rolls and small cases when you're on the go, as well as rugged tool watch boxes for your home. We've also got strap changing tools, EDC selections ranging from pens to pocket knives and flashlights, all available at the same shop. Check all that out at WindupWatchShop.com and follow all the latest news on Instagram at WindupWatchShop. Let's talk about dive watches, shall we? Seiko announced another addition to their Save the Ocean line in the form of the SLA 065. The watch sports an interesting dial design that draws inspiration from a 6th century timekeeping device known as an astrolabe. The astrolabe was used for tracking time and for astronomical observation. In its infancy, it was used to track the sun and other prominent stars in relation to latitude and longitude. Naturally, this information would prove useful for those navigating the seas, and so the astrolabe was modified to be sturdier and more aerodynamic, cutting away the different parts of the discs. Reading time might be a little easier though on the Seiko SLA 065. 065, especially with the bold, lumi-bright markers against the blue tones of the dial and bezel. The Seiko SLA 065 Save the Ocean limited edition is limited to just 1,300 pieces and retails for $2,900. If you're interested in supporting this, supporting the cause, the Save the Ocean cause from Seiko, you'd be directly supporting the underwater archaeological efforts that's taking place off of the coast of a Greek island called Fournoy. Moving on to another dive watch, we have one from Vulcain. This one is kind of unexpected, considering that when you think of Vulcain, you might think of the cricket watch. This one, however, comes in a smaller footprint, or maybe a wrist print. I don't know if we can make that a thing. It comes in a 38mm case, 12mm thickness. The vintage cues are very heavy with this one. It's got patinaed markers, a typeface that harkens back to mid-century watches, an Inca block, word mark, and also a slim kind of ghosty bezel there. All in all, this watch takes after the quintessential Skindiver. That's why it's aptly named the Vulcain Skindiver. We go more in depth into this watch in an on-wrist reaction video, so stay tuned for that sometime soon. But if you don't care for our opinions and this watch already speaks to you due to its strong vintage vibes and its tidy case proportions, then you can grab it now directly through Vulcain. The watch retails for $1,625. This leads us into our final story that's sort of watch industry adjacent. If you're a sports fan or not, you might have seen the Golden State Warriors visiting the White House this past week, celebrating their 2022 NBA championship. The Golden State Warriors' best player, Steph Curry, was seen rocking a very slick navy blue suit, and if you were actually paying attention to his wrist, he was wearing a Rolex Deep Sea Dweller. Now, it pains me to talk about Steph Curry visiting the White House for an NBA championship because I'm a Knicks fan, and all the Knicks fans out there, you may know that we had passed him during draft night, so seeing him celebrating a championship in a different jersey is kind of annoying, but you know, we're here to talk about watches, so let's get to it. On his wrist, he is wearing a Rolex Deep Sea Dweller. We know that we won't be seeing Steph Curry diving deep, especially at 3,900 meters, which is the water resistance of the Deep Sea Dweller, but he is no stranger to shooting from deep, making defenders look silly out past the three-point line. His sartorial decision to wear a navy blue suit with a sporty stainless steel dive watch just goes to show you that wear what you want. A dive watch can look great at the cup of a suit, even if you're visiting the president at the White House. And if you don't agree with that, then that's fine, because as the folks say when they watch Steph Curry play, Steph is gonna Steph. So that's the watch news from this week. Thanks again to WindUpWatchShop.com for sponsoring this video. I'm Thomas Callara. I'll see you next time. Be well.